The Holy Bible, Genesis chapter 1 verse 5, is a deceptively simple verse that contains profound theological and cosmological ideas. Let's break it down, piece by piece. The verse in context with other verses of Genesis chapter 1. This is the culmination of the first creative act in the Bible. The creation of light, Genesis 3-4. God separates light from darkness. And then we get verse 5, which interprets and names that separation. Detailed explanation of Bible. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 4. Firstly, we should explain the first part of the verse, which is, God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. The act of naming. In the ancient Near East, to name something was an act of sovereignty, authority, and understanding. It signifies God's dominion over these fundamental elements. He's not subject to them. He defines and orders them. Creation of categories. God is not just creating physical phenomena, but also the concepts and the structures of time by which humans will order their existence. Day and night are the first two words in humanity as vocabulary for understanding the cosmos. This establishes a key theme. God creates an ordered, intelligible universe, not chaos. Now have a look at part 2 of this verse. And there was evening, and there was morning, ... The structure of time. This famous phrase establishes the rhythm of the creation week, and by extension, the biblical pattern for a day. Crucially, the day begins with evening. This reflects a Jewish understanding of time, from darkness to light, from chaos to order, from problem to solution. A new day starts at sunset. Evening and morning versus morning and evening. The order is intentional. Each creative act begins in the potential evening, darkness, and culminates in the actual, completed work morning, light. It gives a sense of closure and accomplishment for each day. Now look at third part of the verse. Double quotes, ... The first day. The ordinal number T text says, the first day, or one day, depending on translation nuance, not a first day. This implies a sequence of ordered progression in creation. God's work is systematic and purposeful. The meaning of day Hebrew yom. This has been the subject of much debate. Traditional interpretation views it as a 24-hour solar day. Others see it as a long geological age. The day-age theory, a literary framework to explain theology rather than science, or a symbolic divine work period. The text itself, by defining day in relation to light before the creation of the sun on day 4, suggests the author is primarily describing a theological order and God's rhythmic work pattern rather than giving a scientific timetable. Now let's have a look at key theological themes in this verse. God as sovereign orderer. God brings order out of chaos, mentioned in Genesis 1-2. Separation and naming are primary tools of that ordering. The goodness of time. Time itself is part of God's good creation. It is structured, rhythmic, and purposeful. The pattern for human life. The evening-morning rhythm later becomes the basis for the Sabbath. Commandments 6 days you shall labor ... double quotes, closing parentheses. Work leads to rest, and each cycle is bounded and complete. The primacy of light. Light is the first creation, the foundation for all else. This has deep symbolic resonance throughout the Bible, where light represents God's presence, truth, and salvation. For example, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Psalm 27-1. And in the New Testament, Jesus as the light of the world, John 8:12.